Alright, hello and welcome once again to another Tier List Thursday. Yes, it is another Tier List Thursday. Today, we are going to be getting into Eminem's discography. His main albums, not any of the side projects or all the other stuff he's done. Just his main studio album collection. Before we do, I'm a musician. I make my own content and other stuff on this channel, and you should check it out. Go ahead and call me Disney, cause for me the grind is whimsy. You all flex because you're flimsy. I don't rap, don't mind me, 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 don't mind me. And that's the plug. So if you're familiar with the tiers on this channel, we typically go mathematical with them. And for this one, we took sound, impact, and quality of quantity for the scores. I'll put the algebraic formula. All of these things are scaled on a scale of 1 to 5, which each of them representing the percentage that you see on the screen. Sound just means generally how good does it sound? Is it pleasant to listen to? So that's the most subjective of these, and typically the most subjective is the one that I put the biggest weight on, since tier lists are opinions, bro. Impact, I'm talking about cultural impact. What did this do for music, for hip-hop, for society, etc.? Quality of quantity. Eminem has a habit in some of his albums of having a lot of songs, and a lot of them just being filler, bad songs. I'm sorry to you stans, but that is the truth. So, how many songs were on the album, and how many were actually good? Because Eminem good versus Eminem meh is very different. Now, you might be thinking it's disgraceful that you could get an F, but again, this is Eminem compared to Eminem, and I really do like Eminem, but I don't think I'd consider myself a stan because I don't think everything that Eminem does is perfect or amazing, and I think that's kind of a prerequisite of being a stan. And anyway, we're gonna kind of start the tone of that with Relapse, which I think is my least favorite Eminem album, and it scores in the F category, and it is well below every other album on this list. Some people have tried to rewrite history and have said, retroactively that this album was good, and those people are not right. This was not a good album. I'm sorry. It wasn't it was extreme weirdness, but it wasn't Slim Shady extreme weirdness. It was just a confused, very high Marshall, and it's no. The Marshall Mathers LP Part 2. This is in the C category. I actually liked a lot on here. You got Rap God out of this. There was a lot of good jams on Marshall Mathers LP 2. It's a pretty solid album. It's got a few more filler songs that I would like. It kind of has the retraction song, the Taking Back, Cleaning Out My Closet song, if I'm thinking of the correct album here. And that song for me didn't really do it. I think that featured the vocalist from Fun. And I don't know. It was like a growing up album that I never wanted from Eminem, maybe. I don't know. Marshall Mathers LP number 1, which I think is what this is supposed to be. This isn't the cover art I'm used to seeing for it, but it is what it is. Anyway, this one a lot of people say is Eminem's best album. For me, it is A tier. It is not his best album when I crunched it through this formula, as evil as that might sound to some of you. I think those of you who are watching this and like Eminem probably know which album's going to be best album, because you were probably thinking it was either going to be this or another album. Well, now you know it's that other album, but I won't spoil it for the non-Eminem heads amongst us. Recovery comes in here at the same level with Marshall Mathers LP2. Eminem C tier for me are those albums that it's oh, this is actually pretty good. I could re-listen to a lot of this, and that's it. That's where we're at with the C tier. Oh, that was a good album, Recovery had I'm Not Afraid, which was a fun little radio song to listen to, and I think that also had No Love with Lil Wayne, which was a good collab. Has one of my favorite Eminem verses ever on that. But it had a lot of misguided songs on there too, so it's fine. It's there. Then you get Kamikaze. Kamikaze was a lot of fun. I actually put that in the B tier. I just really liked the different styles Eminem played with. He kind of had some mumbly bumbly. It also had quite a big impact, especially on the YouTube scene, which is, where I am, so I'm gonna be kind of biased towards the YouTube scene. Like, it really kind of sparked a lot of let's bring back the lyrical miracle rap, which for better or for worse is kind of what it was, the fight against mumble rap. And mumble rap's mostly died within a year of this album. Like, you still have this sort of trap hype rap, but it's not quite the same level of mumbly mumble. And the mumble rap that exists now is just like this deformed version of, you have that one guy going like it almost is a parody of itself now. And I think we do have Kamikaze to partially thank for that, of Eminem going, what is actually really, what is happening right now? Because a lot of the people who are in the mumble game have actually started rapping more normally now. So respect to Kamikaze. It's also a really fun album. It's got a couple songs that are just awful on there, but for the most part, very enjoyable. Infinite. Some of you might not know what Infinite is. This is Eminem's first album. Sound-wise is what really hurts it, because it sounds like it was produced inside of my butthole. Butt stuff. And I've heard some people try to remaster some of it, and it actually sounds really good that way. Infinite, the actual title song, is one of the coolest songs that Eminem has. I love that song, but because it's kind of hard to listen to, it's just still in the it's there, it's a nice nostalgia thing. A lot of people would probably rank it higher, but I can't get past how poorly produced it is, which is understandable. I'm not saying that it should have been produced better considering the circumstances. I'm just saying it's tough to listen to. I need Eminem to just re-record that album. That's not something Eminem does, but boy, would I like that. The Eminem Show. Here we are to the part that you guys figured we'd be at. The best album is the Eminem Show. I think anyone that knows anything about Eminem should be putting the Marshall Mathers LP1 or the Eminem Show at the top of the list. That only just makes sense. For me, it's the Eminem Show, and fight me. Music to be murdered by, yeah, I wasn't huge on that. Pretty much aside from Godzilla, there's not even a track on there that really stuck out. Godzilla was really good, but then the rest I'm like, it was like a flex album in a lot of ways, but Kamikaze was in a lot of better ways. So I don't know. It wasn't my favorite foray of Eminem. Maybe it'll grow on me over time, but that's where it is right now. Then you have Encore, which is kind of right in the same spot. You had the Eminem Show, and then you're like, oh, we're gonna get Encore, and oh no. I think it was after Encore that Eminem disappeared for a hot minute before Relapse as well. Or maybe it was after Relapse and then Recovery was the hiatus. I don't know, but Encore just wasn't it for me at all. There was like a couple songs on there, maybe Mockingbird was on Encore, I think, so it would have one good song, but overall, no thanks. Revival didn't go viral. F. Look, I think Revival, so far as poignant messages and statements, was pretty good on M's part. Whether or not you agree with his politics, he portrayed everything in a very good way and in a very relevant way, and he did what he was trying to do. Unfortunately, I just didn't like the music. I thought it all sounded awful. And all of the pop star guest stars on every single track just seemed like so counter everything I knew about Eminem. And it was such a I care about everything album when Eminem's usually the I give zero fucks kind of guy. I don't know. Music to be Murdered by at least went back to feeling more like Eminem, but Revival was just it should have been a side project. It really felt side project vibes. I'm like, you have something you want to say, cool, say it. Maybe do it as a collab album with someone else or something. I don't know, but it's Eminem. He could do what he wants. He wants that to be a statement, that's fine. Like I said, he made the statement well. I just didn't like listening to it in general. That was my biggest issue. I didn't think it sounded very good. But do you, boo? And then you have the Slim Shady LP. The Slim Shady LP I also have right up here. I think it gets closer to that A tier. A lot of times when I sit on it, there's a lot of songs on there that just don't do it for me. There's too many songs, especially on the extended versions, and I'm just like, half of these, why should I care? But anyway, that's my list of Eminem albums ranked. Most of these albums I could go ahead and happily bump front to back today. So just if they're in like the C or D tier or F tier, doesn't mean I won't listen to it. F tier, probably not. I don't think I'm going to bump to Relapse or Revival anytime soon. But there you go. That's the Eminem tier list. We're touching the controversial topics because you guys are all Eminem stans, and me saying anything that's not positive about him might be dangerous. I know, shout out to April G. Showers. I'm talking about her husband right now, so hopefully I didn't say anything too offensive, April, about your husband. Anyway, until next time, I scheme, you scheme, we all scheme for ice cream. Bye!